Long ago in the Grand Kingdom of Persia lived a young Jewish girl named Esther. Esther was an orphan and Mordecai. They lived in the bustling capital city of Susa, where the palace of the mighty King Xerxes stood tall and proud. King Xerxes ruled over a vast empire. He was known for grand processions. One day King Xerxes decided to hold a grand feast to display the beauty of his queen Vashti. However, Queen Vashti refused the king's request. This angered King Xerxes greatly, and he removed a search began throughout the kingdom for a new queen, a beautiful and worthy successor to Vashti. Esther, with her captivating charm and gentle heart, was brought to the palace. Unbeknownst to secret she kept hidden on Mordecai's advice. King Xerxes was enchanted by Esther's beauty and grace. He chose her to be his queen, placing a golden crown upon her head. Esther was now the most powerful woman in heavy in her heart. Life in the palace was a whirlwind of luxury and grandeur. Esther, however, never forgot her roots or her loyal cousin Mordecai. Each day, Mordecai came to the palace gates, watching over his beloved Esther from afar. One day, Mordecai overheard a sinister plot. Two of the king's guards were planning to assassinate King Xerxes. Mordecai immediately alerted Esther, who in turn warned the king. The would-be assassins were apprehended, and Mordecai's bravery was recorded in the royal chronicles. Meanwhile, a proud and power-hungry man named Haman had risen to a prominent position in the king's court. King Xerxes had issued a decree that all should bow before Haman as a mark of respect. However, Mordecai, a devout Jew, refused to bow to anyone but God. This act of defiance enraged Haman, filling him with a venomous rage. Haman discovered that Mordecai was Jewish. In retaliation, he devised a wicked plan to exterminate not just Mordecai, but all the Jews in the kingdom. He went to King Xerxes and, using cunning lies, convinced the king that the Jews were dangerous and needed to be eliminated. Blinded by Haman's deception, King Xerxes agreed to the horrific plan, unaware that he was signing a death warrant for countless innocent lives, including his beloved Queen Esther. The news of the decree spread like wildfire, plunging the Jewish community into terror and despair. Mordecai, filled with anguish, rushed to the palace gates, tearing his clothes and crying out in mourning. When Esther learned of her cousin's distress and the impending doom that awaited her people, her heart sank. She knew she had to act, but to approach the king without being summoned was a grave risk, punishable by death. Despite the risk, Esther resolved to confront the king and plead for her people. She sent word to Mordecai, asking all the Jews of Susa to fast and pray for her for 3 days and nights. She too would abstain from food and water, preparing herself for a meeting that would decide the fate of her people. With a heavy heart and unwavering faith, she decided to put her trust in God. After the 3 days of fasting and prayer, Esther, adorned in her royal robes, approached the king's throne room. King Xerxes, seeing his beloved queen standing unsummoned, was surprised, but extended his golden scepter towards her, sparing her life. With trembling hands but a resolute spirit, Esther invited the king and Haman to a banquet she had prepared. Little did they know, this banquet would be unlike any they had ever attended, for Esther was about to gamble with her life to save her people. The air crackled with tension as Esther, King Xerxes, and Haman gathered for the banquet. During the meal, Queen Esther found her voice. She revealed her hidden identity as a Jew and exposed Haman's wicked plot to the king. The king was furious. He had been deceived by his trusted advisor and had unknowingly ordered the execution of his own beloved queen. Haman, his face pale with fear, fell to his knees begging for mercy, but his pleas fell on deaf ears. As punishment for his treachery, Haman was hanged on the very gallows he had built for Mordecai. The king, realizing the gravity of Haman's deception, immediately revoked the decree to harm the Jews. Instead, he granted them the right to defend themselves. The Jews, empowered by the king's decree and inspired by Esther's bravery, rose up against their enemies and emerged victorious. This victory was cause for great rejoicing. To commemorate their deliverance from annihilation, the Jews established the festival of Purim. Every year, they celebrate with feasts, exchange gifts, and remember the courage of Queen Esther, the woman who risked everything to save her people. Her story is a testament to the power of faith, courage, and the unwavering love for one's heritage.